Hi, it's Bob Hoopshire, and this is the Gaining Perspective podcast, where we bring you insightful conversations with some of the top thought leaders in the investment advisor profession and investment management industry. I am the founder of Advisor Perspectives and a vice chairman of Vetify. Technology continues to play an important role in transforming the advice profession, from streamlining administrative tasks to creating personalized experiences for clients at scale. Technology provides advisors with meaningful ways to prioritize their time so they can focus on valuable relationship based services like behavioral coaching and building trust among clients. My guest and I will discuss the latest technology trends for advisors, the importance of developing and introducing technology skill sets, the rise of GenAI and other emerging technologies, and more in this episode. And my guest is Lauren Wilkinson. She's a principal at Vanguard and chief information officer for the firm's financial advisor services division. So, Lauren, I'm going to have you start out by telling me a bit about yourself, your background, what got you into technology, what led you to Vanguard, and your role there.
Well, thank you so much, Bob. First of all, great to be here. Really appreciate being on your podcast today. I discovered early on a love for computers and coding. Started when I was a kid playing computer games with my dad. And then in college, took my first computer science course and loved coding, which led me into a career in technology. I started my career as a developer in Silicon Valley, which was a great place to be. So much technology happening. And I started with a couple of startups and then found my way to Charles Schwab. And that was a great opportunity for me to introduce another passion of mine, which is investing and financial planning, which has always been a passion of mine also since I was a kid. And at Schwab, I had various roles supporting advisor technology. I worked in the advisor services division of Schwab, supporting advisor technology. Uh, I led digital advisor platforms there. And then a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, I joined Vanguard. Really excited to be here. I lead technology for Vanguard's financial advisor services division. So here at Vanguard, in addition to servicing families and 401k plans, we also serve financial advisors who work in banks, registered investment advisors, and broker dealers. And it's a really amazing place to be. And I lead all of our technology delivery for those advisors.
Great. And you and I were chatting before we started here. Your daughter and went to the same college, to Brown University, that you did. And you were both on the crew team, coached by the same husband and wife team. And I know that's something there at Brown that instills teamwork and discipline and competitiveness. So I'm sure that you share those qualities with my daughter.
Yes, and a lifelong commitment to exercise and hard work as well, I would say.
I agree. I agree. So, as Chief Information Officer for Vanguard's Financial Advisor Services Division, I'm sure you have firsthand experience in seeing and hearing the ways that advisors use technology, along with the areas of opportunity that technology can evolve in, as well as concerns that advisors may have when new innovation comes along. Let's start by talking about use cases. How are advisors integrating technology solutions into their practices?
Advisors are using technology to deliver better investment outcomes, advice, and client experience for their clients. So I'll start with first better investment outcomes. Technology plays such a key role in investment management, starting with digital onboarding. Digital onboarding to understand clients' goals and develop a financial plan. And then technology also plays a key role in constructing the portfolio and ongoing management of the portfolio, making sure you're rebalancing toward a target asset allocation and managing taxes. So, managing investments is key. Secondly, better advice. Technology has a really, really important role in saving advisors' time and unlocking more time for advisors to spend with clients. Our research here at Vanguard consistently shows that trust Specifically, emotional trust is the primary driver of satisfaction that clients have with an advisor. And so, the more that advisors can free up time to spend with their clients and instill trust, it's extremely impactful. Right now, for every 1 hour of time that an advisor spends with their clients, they have to spend up to 3 hours of time of work prepping for that meeting and doing tasks after the meeting. For example, preparing for the meeting, executing a rebalance, placing the trade, documenting the call, and so on. And so technology can play a key role in streamlining all of that work and maximizing the time so we can get to 99% of the time that advisors are spending with their clients. So the third piece, so I mentioned investment management, advice. The third piece is client experience. Technology plays a really important role in personalizing the experience that advisors have with their clients. Data and technology can help advisors better understand their clients' interests and important moments that matter to each client so that they can deliver the right message to the right client at the right time. The CRM plays a really important role in this. And over time, we're going to see GenAI play a really important role in automating some of the administrative tasks within a CRM, such as documenting the call, summarizing the client conversation, reminding of follow ups, and recommending next best actions.
Very interesting. I should mention here that I have virtually all of my equity allocation in my retirement funds invested in Vanguard index funds. So I have seen some of that technology firsthand and have been very impressed with the client experience that I've had working with Vanguard. Let's talk about areas of opportunity. Where is the future of technology headed? What are some of the technology advancements that would be interesting for advisors to hear about?
The future of technology is certainly rapidly changing and very exciting. I would say that the fundamental purpose of technology will remain the same, which is always to deliver better outcomes for clients. At Vanguard, we're laser focused on that. But what we will see as technology is improving and advancing, we'll see it become more integrated, intelligent, and immersive. So, starting with integrated, I constantly hear from advisors that they spend a lot of time piecing together information from different systems and getting their technologies to work together. We continue to see improvements in this area, and more we'll see technologies that start to come together, integrated solutions that require less time on the advisor to piece the puzzle pieces together. The second piece is intelligent. So, technologies like generative AI will be able to handle more and more of the back office tasks and the administrative work for advisors, becoming almost like personal agents that so that advisors can focus more time on what matters most, which is their clients. The final thing I'll mention is immersive. Spatial computing is a really exciting new development that's becoming very, very interesting and has a big opportunity to reshape interactions between advisors and their clients. With devices like the MetaQuest Pro or more recently, the Apple Vision Pro, advisors can start to conduct immersive virtual meetings with their clients. And we're seeing the adoption really increase here. The expected adoption by end of this year for 2024 is expected 1.7 billion augmented reality users worldwide. So this is definitely something that's starting to be adopted at a wide scale. And the research is really interesting here. It shows that people retain 70% more information when they're in a spatial immersive experience relative to a non-spatial experience. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here on the future of advisor interactions with their clients.
Interesting. So I guess one of those $3,500 Vision Pro goggles are going to be in my future. Let's also talk about concerns. What are some of the concerns that you hear from advisors when it comes to integrating technology? What are some of the risks or other considerations that you think advisors should be mindful of as they bring on new technology in their practice?
Well, technology definitely changes rapidly. And here at Vanguard, we encourage advisors to embrace it, to improve outcomes for their clients and their practices, while, of course, carefully managing the risks involved. So, first, if we look at the history, I think it can be scary. Every few years, a new technology innovation comes up and comes along that takes center stage and instills fear. fear about what is going to happen, anxiety about the future. For example, even if you think back to the original index fund or the rise of the ETF, or more recently, robo advice, each of these innovations has fundamentally altered the nature of the financial services industry and the advisory industry, but none of them has automated the business away. And in fact, quite the opposite. The role of the advisor is more and more important than ever before. It's a growing industry, it's larger and more profitable than ever before. So I think looking back at the history helps. The next thing I would encourage is, as advisors are evaluating new technology, it's best to start and look at what are the benefits to their practice and to their clients. I always encourage advisors to start first with how's it going to help their clients? Um, what's the role of this new technology in their firm? Is it to unlock more time for client interaction, delivering a more personalized client experience, boosting profitability for the firm? So that's a good starting place when evaluating any new technology. Then, of course, we need to consider the risks. With great power comes great responsibility. We know that from Spider-Man. And so, as with anything, it's important that advisors thoroughly vet any new technology they're bringing into the practice. It's important to understand the data, the privacy considerations, the security implications, the regulatory requirements, along with any solution they're bringing in. What's the vendor behind it? Are they doing proper due diligence on the vendor? And is the solution proprietary, meaning the data will stay within the walls of the advisory practice, or is it public? So all of these are very important factors to consider, and it's critical that advisors bring on the right talent within their firms to evaluate this within a risk reward framework and oversee the privacy, the legal, the security considerations of any new tech.
So you mentioned talent, and I know that that's an important consideration for advisors as they bring on and evaluate technology. To dig a little deeper on that, what are you hearing from advisors regarding their need for either hiring technology talent or acquiring technology oriented skill sets? How should they think about technology expertise to support their clients?
Increasingly, technology is becoming more and more central to the success of any advisory practice. And advisors are best served to be proactive about their technical talent strategy. I hear a lot from advisors that this space becomes very overwhelming. Keeping up with technology is a very different skill set than talking to clients. And so it's really important to bring technology acumen into the firm to prioritize that skill set within the practice and be very proactive about it. So, as I think about talent, it's talent attraction, talent development, talent retention. On the attraction side, it starts with identifying what are the skill sets that you need and being proactive about getting that. What we recommend is that advisors should consider expertise in data analysis, CRM, digital marketing, and emerging technologies such as generative AI. And the firms who do this best have carved out a specific role that's focused on technology and operations. The operations piece is really important because process is so important alongside the technology. I often hear from advisors, do I need more process or do I need more technology? So you really need someone who's thinking about both. On the talent development side, it's really important to intentionally create a culture of learning within the advisory firm, encouraging a culture where people are continually sharpening their technical skill sets. I mentioned how quickly this landscape changes. And so a focus on continual growth, continual learning, and innovation, always with the lens of what solutions are going to further improve investor outcomes, is critical. And then on the retention side, I would encourage advisors to integrate technical talent and technical um, decisioning into core business processes so it doesn't feel like the business and the technology are separate. It needs to be brought together. And so that there's always clear alignment on what technology is going to be best for clients. And when there's a clear client alignment to client outcomes, combined with a commitment to innovation and learning, that tends to be a really strong recipe for talent retention.
You mentioned Gen AI earlier. I mentioned it in my introduction. That is one of the latest emerging technologies that we've seen take off. How does it work? What are some of the benefits of Gen AI for advisors, and what are some of the risks?
At Vanguard, we're very excited about generative AI and believe this is going to become a spinal technology that will improve many aspects of our lives and especially the advisory industry. I'll touch on how it works, the benefits, and the risks. So, starting with the basics of how it works, artificial intelligence itself has been around for a very long time. It is the process of using computers to simulate human intelligence. So, if you've ever used Siri or Alexa, that is a form of AI. Machine learning is a subset of AI. It's a subset of AI that learns from data. So instead of directly programming a machine learning system, it's learning itself using patterns to make decisions or predictions. And then generative AI is then a type of machine learning that learns how to generate new data similar to the data that it has been trained on. It can learn to generate human like text or images depending on how you've trained it. And I'm sure most of this audience is well familiar with things like ChatGPT, where you can see the power of it. As far as the benefits for advisors, we view this to be hugely beneficial to complement advisors and really help save time on administrative tasks. Again, to prioritize more time for what's most valuable, which is client interaction, behavioral coaching, instilling emotional trust. A couple specific ways that advisors can use this. One is content management. Gen AI is great at drafting routine communications that advisors often spend a lot of time on. Things like client check ins, client emails, market updates at scale, or even reminders. The second area that Gen AI is great at and can provide a lot of help for advisors is knowledge management. So, this is the ability to synthesize a lot of information quickly. For example, it can summarize comparison between products, helping advisors making educated decisions more quickly for their clients. And rather than spending hours parsing through projections or lengthy annual reports, Gen AI can summarize key takeaways and translate those insights into something that's going to be impactful for clients. So, a lot of key benefits here. You also asked about risks, and Gen AI certainly does come with its risks. It's still incredibly important to have a advisor in the loop to monitor and do due diligence on what Gen AI is producing. Some of the things that we really encourage advisors to be thinking about: first, make sure they're doing due diligence with onboarding new technology solutions. It's important to understand the parameters. So if advisors are bringing on a Gen AI solution into their practice, they need to understand when you type information into that Gen AI system, is it going to go back into the public model, or is it going to stay within the walls of the advisory practice? That's really, really important for the privacy of their clients. And it's also important to be aware of some of the natural limitations like hallucinations. Gen AI is not always accurate, it does sometimes make things up, and biases based on the data that it's been trained on. So these are some of the things that we recommend advisors be very aware of and mitigate against.
So there are tasks such as monitoring and diligence that advisors need to perform. I'm curious what you think the limitations are of Gen AI. Will Gen AI ultimately be able to do that monitoring and diligence itself? Or are there categories of advisors that will become obsolete because of machine learning and Gen AI?
We at Vanguard believe that Gen AI will complement the human advisor and plays a really important role there. One of the most notable benefits that Gen AI unlocks for advisors is the ability to spend more time with clients and specifically more time on building the most valuable relationship interactions like behavioral coaching and building trust. So, certainly, Gen AI has its limitations. The technology is only as smart as the information that it has available to learn from. And there are very real risks like hallucinations. It will completely make things up and it will, give you those answers confidently. Um, And also, there are biases based on the data that it's been trained on. So there are limitations. It's really important to have a human advisor in the loop. The next point I would make is around behavioral coaching. So the big benefit of generative AI is more time for advisors to spend on behavioral coaching. Incredibly important to view Gen AI as a complement to the advisor practice, not a replacement. Advisors can now spend more of their valuable time improving the financial outcomes of their clients. Here at Vanguard, we have research called Advisors Alpha research, and we've spent a lot of time looking at behavioral coaching and the value that it adds for investors. Behavioral coaching is all about encouraging clients to stay the course and stick to their financial plan, even when times get rough or you might be tempted to do something else. And behavioral coaching, when done right, has very real outcomes for clients, adding 1 to 2% return relative to the assets we see in the industry. We don't see that changing. The other thing I would point out is trust. So, in that same Advisors Alpha research, the research has consistently pointed to trust, specifically emotional trust, as the primary driver of advisor practice outcomes, driving client acquisition, referrals, retention, and loyalty. So we think advisors who embrace the change to move up the value stack of advice and augment their relationships in a unique way that increases emotional trust will likely see their practices thrive. So we really encourage advisors to embrace this technology.
We will include a link in the notes that accompany this podcast about your advisor alpha research. I'm curious, how are you and your team experimenting with emerging technologies and evaluating how well they will serve advisors?
Here at Vanguard, we evaluate all emerging technology using a framework that considers benefits and potential business impact. We also consider readiness of the technology in that framework. And from there, we begin experimentation. And some of the latest experiments we're focusing on are Gen AI, of course, and spatial computing. So, first, let me tell you a little bit more about the framework. So, we are always looking at emerging technologies and keeping our radar out for what's new and what are the trends. We evaluate each new technology based on eminence, which is timing for when it's going to be ready to drive tangible value, and its potential business impact. When a technology is here and ready to have an outsized impact, we expect every division at Vanguard to be looking at ways to responsibly experiment and rapidly adopt that technology. Gen AI is in that category for us right now. If a technology is a little further out or not yet as impactful, that's when we do experiments with select groups within Vanguard to take small bets and run early experiments to determine value. So, a couple of the areas that we are actively experimenting in right now are Gen AI and spatial computing. So, I'll start with Gen AI. Um, as I mentioned earlier, we definitely believe Gen AI will be uh, fundamentally improving our industry, and we've started to use it internally. My technology teams, as well as our technology teams across Vanguard, we're starting to use Gen AI to write some of our software, which has reduced coding time by about 15%. And we're experimenting with ways to bring this value to advisors. For example, helping advisors with market insights, research, and portfolio construction. So that's what we're doing on Gen AI. On spatial computing, that's another area that we have been experimenting with. Last year, we built some early immersive experiences using the Quest Pro headset, allowing Vanguard to conduct virtual meetings with advisors. And that was really interesting. Advisors loved it. They stayed engaged longer and retained the information longer. More recently, we've been experimenting with the new Apple Vision Pro. Um, I've had my first demo of the experience. It was a really cool experience. And what we've been doing is building a visual experience for estate planning, using the analogy of a garden that represents the portfolio and how it's been grown. The experience blends digital content with physical space and uses only your hands and eyes for navigation. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool space that we're experimenting in. I'm very excited to see where this technology takes us. We believe it's important for us here at Vanguard to experiment early because we're owned by our clients. We put our clients' needs first, and we think this is an area where clients are going to want us to be in the future.
The end goal for advisors is to be able to deliver high quality, personalized advice to their clients. Stepping back, how can technology help advisors succeed in achieving that goal?
Technology can improve outcomes for clients. We really encourage laser focus on that, improving outcomes for their clients. And in turn, that can improve outcomes for the advisor's practice. First, technology can provide a world class personalized experience. At Vanguard, being client owned, our purpose is to deliver the best outcomes for investors. And so to do that, everything starts with knowing your clients. Well, technology and data can help you do that. They can help advisors know their clients, understand their needs, and ultimately create a personalized experience for them. It's about delivering the right message at the right time with the right client. At Vanguard, one way we're experimenting this with advisors and to better support our advisor partners is understanding signals of what our advisors are interested in, and that allows us to provide relevant, timely insights and solutions to support advisor needs. Advisors can be doing the same thing with their clients. Next, technology can help improve investment outcomes for clients. So there's the overall experience, and then there's also investment outcomes. A great example of this is personalized indexing. Here at Vanguard, we have a personalized indexing offer that provides a scalable investment management platform for advisors to build a customized, tax efficient portfolio. It scans daily for tax loss harvesting opportunities and rebalances automatically. That's a great example of how advisors can use technology to optimize their investment management process. And in the end, when advisors focus on their clients and providing the best outcomes for clients, when clients succeed, the advisor practice also succeeds. When client succeeds, it leads to higher AUM, more referrals, and greater loyalty. And additionally, embracing technology can help advisors improve their own operational productivity and reduce costs for their business.
It's interesting. One of the themes that you keep referring to is achieving better outcomes for clients. The mission statement that I had for Advisor Perspectives before we were acquired by Vetify was enabling advisors to achieve better outcomes for their clients. So it's completely aligned with everything that you've been saying. If there's one key takeaway that you would like to leave with our audience of advisors about Vanguard's approach to advancing technology in the advisory profession, what would that be?
At Vanguard, with our long-standing partnership with advisors, we're focused on harnessing technology, always with the focus on our core purpose to improve investor outcomes. We've worked alongside our advisor community for more than 20 years, and through experimentation and advancement with technology, we're able to improve investment and portfolio management and provide personalized and timely insights to help advisors give their clients the best chance of investment success.
Wonderful. Well, we'll include some links in the notes that accompany this podcast where you'll be able to learn more about Lauren and her team and the services that Vanguard offers. There'll be a link to a white paper, Putting a Value on Your Value, Quantifying Advisors Alpha. That's the one that I mentioned earlier. And there'll be a second white paper, Emerging Technologies and Their Impact on Your Practice. Lauren, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you so much for having me, Bob. It's been a pleasure. I especially loved the shared vision that we both talked about improving investor outcomes. That's really great.
You're welcome. And thank you for listening to the Gaining Perspective podcast with Bob Hoopshire, today featuring Lauren Wilkinson of Vanguard. To support our podcast, please share, subscribe, or leave a review to help make our podcast more findable for your friends and colleagues. You can subscribe to Gaining Perspective on your favorite podcasting service.